Hi, you're listening to TC Doyle. It's another edition of In Partners, Lessons from the Edge. Today we're going to be talking about outmoded things in the channel, and we have just the right person to discuss this with. It's Gina Batali-Brooks of Is Inspired. Gina, welcome today.
Thank you, TC. It's really great to be here. Super excited.
It's great to see you. I love this topic. We've talked about it before, but I want to drill down deeply. Let's take a sec. For those that don't know, Is Inspired. Company is, I think, 2000, and now give us the history and its focus today.
Yeah, so we focus on the channel infrastructure only, and we help our customers really make that sing so that they can support their visions and goals for their channel. And so it's really a way to enable our customers to achieve the success using the tools that they have or the tools that they might need to implement.
Excellent. Well, we're going to talk tools in a bit, but let's talk about some of the things that are outmoded that no longer serve their usefulness, but people still cling to. We've had this conversation before. It's program tiers, especially if you're in the high-tech channel. So what is it about program tiers that have become outmoded, at least as far as the way most vendors think of them?
Yeah, so really, when you think about tiers, they're primarily usually based on volume. And if you think about where the channel is going and where it is right now, if you're talking about volume, you're talking about transactions. And so many of the partners today are not really transaction focused. If you think about, referral partners or influence partners. And so one, it's really hard to track that. And it only fits a certain set of partners who have a certain business model. And those models are changing all the time. The second thing is it doesn't really drive the behavior that you're looking for. And so oftentimes some of your partners who are your biggest revenue producing partners may be selling older products, are not kind of moving in the direction that you want them to go. And some of your newer partners, the way you set up your tiers, it takes too long. They can't get there. And yet they're the ones that are going to take you into the future.
So as we move from a period where we focused on volume to now we're focusing more on value, does that mean the traditional gold, silver, platinum, diamond, ruby, sapphire, does that go away? And if so, what replaces it?
Yeah, so, that's a really good question because does it go away or how do you measure it? Does it go away? And I think being able to have a flexible model, I think is the most important part. And whatever you call how they're fitting into things, those are names. But to me, it's really about making sure you understand what you're both trying to accomplish for your business and how to get there.
Good. Well, I think after 2020, if we've learned anything else, let's dispense with the labels.
Yeah.
Okay, we're talking outmoded things here. Let's come to another one. Business models are changing. We see new permutations of business models. We see new business models that are just never seen before, new ways to add value, new ways to collect revenue, new ways to service customers. And yet a lot of manufacturers, tech vendors, fintech companies, insurers, they still want to fall in old familiar ways and work with the go-tos. What are they missing? What should we learn about new business models? And how can we embrace those into our partner programs?
So that's really interesting, TC, because I actually don't think that they're not willing or they don't see the value. At least the ones that we're working with, we see that they see the value. It's that change is hard. Right. And so when you're thinking about it, even if it's easy to fall back into the old ways because that's what you know. Right. And also some of it right now is hard to wrap your hands around as to what the benefit is, how you measure that, how you actually support them. And so what we see is people really wrestling with that and trying to figure that out while they're trying to keep the rest of the business rolling, right? And so if you're a startup and you're starting new from scratch, it's a little easier to then figure out, because you're building your systems from scratch, you're building your programs from scratch, your mindset is different. Whereas if you're an existing company that's having to do this about switch, it's a hard thing to do. And I think people, so I actually see that people really understand and recognize it. They're just trying to figure out how to embrace it, how to change, how to turn the ship when it's got so much infrastructure and so much baggage and thought around it of the old way.
So if I'm following the conversation logically, you talk about outmoded program tiers, gold, silver, platinum. Then we talk about outmoded business models. Well, by way of extension, I want to embrace this new philosophy. I think it might help my business. It sounds smart to me. But how do I embrace that flexibility without ruining the discipline that I've worked so hard to achieve with my partners?
The question is, how much do you support what's already there versus how much are you going to make your bet on where you're going? And where is that inflection point to actually make that change, right? And we're starting to see people being a little bit bolder on skating to the future and figuring out how to talk about, influencer programs and, service provider programs and the born in the cloud programs and those types of things that are, how do you design your programs for those and retrofit it for your kind of traditional partners? And then how can you start putting that out in phases? And so we're seeing people announce like programs that are a year from today, and then the roadmap to how they're going to get there, because change is also hard from a standpoint of for the partners. When you're talking to traditional partners, getting, you start talking about removing the metal tiers, right? They get all up in arms because that's what they know as well. And you have to bring them along to, hey, it doesn't mean you're going to be getting less benefits. It just means what we're asking you to do and how we're trying to get there is going to change, and then relating it back to their business and where they're trying to go. Because, like I think about us, for instance, so it's really, this is an amazing thing to me. I've been in the channel since 1998, right? I just gave way too much away, I'm sure. But I've been in the channel since 1998 and always supporting the channel. And then about a year ago, I realized, wait, I am the channel right now because I work with all of the channel vendors, but we're an influencer partner. And so it's been really interesting to be in that space, because if you start talking about capabilities, for instance, and starting to move towards a program that's more capability focused, that's a win-win, because as an organization, we need to be trained, and we need to be trained to the nth degree so that when we can go out and implement and implement our services, we are confident. Well, as a vendor, they want us to be the same way, because that's great about retention. And so that's what I mean by, if you can look for ways that are win-win for what your types of partners are going to use, need, then it's not a requirement. It actually, your requirement turns into a benefit.
We've been talking a lot about different transitions in the marketplace. Technology and automation got to be part and parcel to that. So what role does technology play in supporting some of these new initiatives, new ways of doing business?
Yeah, so it plays a really big role in what we see. And it's, the need to automate, the need to integrate, and the need to actually work on the full process orchestration is really becoming important, and it's becoming important to do across ecosystem. So multiple partners in one deal, being able to do business planning across multiple partners to get to the same customers, because we know that customers are using multiple partners to get what they need to get done because of the specialization that's going on.
Are the partners themselves expecting and or demanding that the vendors they engage have their partner journeys automated and other functions that are so critical to their businesses?
I think what they're demanding is simplification, right? And that whatever they do be simple to be able to execute. And so I don't know if they care if in their minds they're thinking it needs to be automated, but it needs to be simple. And the best way to do that, to take complexity and make it simple, is to automate it.
We've been talking with Gina Batali-Brooks. She is the founder and president of Is Inspired. She's also a member of the Channel Chief Advisory Board here at ImPartner. Gina, it's been a pleasure talking to you today.
Always a pleasure, TC. Thanks for the time, and look forward to the next one.
Well, you've been listening to another edition of Lessons from the Edge. I'm TC Doyle. Thanks for tuning in.